What's up, everyone? You are watching Cannell Games, and welcome to episode 20 of our Lower League Football Manager Save. I can't believe we're already at 20 episodes. If you've been here from the start, thank you for continuing to tune in and watch. I do really appreciate it, and if you are a newcomer, well, hopefully you enjoy these videos, and if you do, please hit that subscribe button and join us along for this crazy ride as we go through the 22 tiers of this custom database of the English football pyramid. We are currently in the 19th tier. This is our 4th season of this save, and we do have some games to recap since our last episode. So we did start off the season with that convincing 5-2 victory over Forest Rose B squad. We then had a tidy 3-0 victory over AFC Bolnor in the Malins Challenge Cup. So let's take a look at that one. We have Matthew Clark and Nathan Randall, the usual suspects, grabbing goals in the first half. We then have an own goal from Ronnie McManus to give us a 3-0 victory heading into halftime, and we sort of clamped down on that. We did not allow a shot on target from Bolnor and comfortably go to the second round of the Malins Challenge Cup. We then had a 1-0 victory, a fairly boring 1-0 victory. So it's not much worthy of note. It included an own goal, but it was against East Grinstead Town and their C squad. And if you remember, they were the team that beat us in the final of the Malins Challenge Cup last year. So it was good to get 3 points against them in the league. We then played Port Slade Athletic, and this was a very convincing 6-0 victory with Matthew Clark scoring a hat trick, also adding an assist. Reese Hayes with a goal of his own, and then Nathan Randall scoring a brace and adding 3 assists of his own. So it was a really dominating performance. We only allowed 2 shots on net while having 12 of our own. It was a dominating performance from top to bottom. You can see the team ratings here. Incredibly convincing all around for this squad. 9.7 for Clark and Randall. Max Bradshaw, despite having that early red card in his career with the club, he had an 8.9, which is very strong. And then Captain Connor Martin with a 9.1 on the wing there. So a very strong performance. We then fell into some tough times. We played in the Parsons Challenge Cup first round against who else but East Grinstead Town, and they knocked us out 1-0 thanks to a 76-minute goal from Frankie Santangelo. And I just want to take a quick look at the Parsons Challenge Cup because we've done incredibly poorly in it. Look at this. Lost in the second round, the first round, and the first round. We've not struggled in any competition like this. We lost in, obviously, the first round of the Brian Hall Challenge Cup, but then we made it to the quarterfinal the next year. The Tester Challenge Cup, we won. The Mid-Sussex Junior Cup, we've won. The Malins Challenge Cup, we lost in the Cup final. And the Stratford Challenge Cup, we are in it for the first season this time around. So we've not struggled like this in any other competition. But remember, the Parsons Challenge Cup does have the largest prize of like £13,000 around there. So maybe all the other clubs, maybe our team just don't want the money. They just don't want it. We then followed that up. We continued our little, I guess, dry spell of offensive form against Hartfield where we lost 1-0. They scored in the 8th minute and then sort of just set up shop and kind of hit us on counterattacks every now and then. Their defense played really, really well. You can see their back line all above 7.0 ratings there. Their center backs were the best players in this game by far, except for Robert Poulin, who did score the lone goal. So hopefully we can get back to some of our winning ways in this very, very high scoring trend that we were on to start the season. If we take a look at the division, we are sitting in second place, just 1 point behind Plumpton Athletic, fellow promotees. So the 2 promotees from the 7th division are currently sitting top of the table, but it is still very, very early on. We also are leading the table in terms of goals, obviously. The 6-0 performance, the 5-2 win. We've been putting goals in the back of the net with relative ease, except for that 1-0 defeat. And I guess our 1-0 victory. So really just 2 games. We've had just a goal glut of 2 games. And the recipients of those goals have been Nathan Randall and Matthew Clark. They may as well be the same person at this point. They seem to go toe-to-toe with each other every single game. You can see their ratings are both above 8. So they both have been doing very, very well. Hopefully they can get back on track today in the Mid-Sussex Junior Cup second round. And our opponents today are going to be Skanes Hill. Skanes Hill, you can see that they are a 5th division team. Skanes Hill may sound familiar. That's because their B squad is down in the 9th division, and we played them in the first season of this Football Manager Save. So we're going to be taking on Skanes Hill today. The only other thing I have to show you before we jump into this is some of the transfers that we've made. We have lost a couple of players, but none of them are all that noteworthy. We lost Kieran Slater, who was a youth player, got signed to Bay Cup. I think he's getting paid now, so good for him. But we did sign Phil Oliver, who's a center back, sort of center back depth. I think he's actually going to end up being our first choice center back at some point this season. He just has to find some fitness playing for our under 23 squad for the next little while. You can see he's pretty decent, at least compared to what some of our other players. If we take a look and compare him to Jack Humphrey, for example, Jack Humphrey has a little bit better marking, but they're equally good in terms of tackling. And you can see pretty much everywhere else, Phil Oliver is the better choice. He's also younger than Jack Humphrey. And then if we compare him to someone like Ryan Hutchinson, who's been with the club for a couple seasons, Phil Oliver is much better than him. We are also looking to sign... Actually, we are signing these two players here. Nathan Millichamp, fairly strong, I guess, in a lot of ways. Pretty good overall. If we compare him to Jack Humphrey, you can see he's better than him as well. So I'm expecting this to be Millichamp and Oliver to be our future sort of center back partnership moving forward. Not that our center backs have been a problem for us moving forward. I think they've really emphasized or really helped out sort of our goalkeeping crisis. But these players presented themselves as an opportunity. There are no contract fees. There's no transfer window. So if I see a good player, I'm going to try and snap them up wherever possible. The other transfer that we're going to look at bringing in is this man here, George Pope, a goalkeeper who doesn't look all that impressive, but he has decent attributes, at least in the areas where we need them. His handling and his reflexes in particular are, better than our current goalkeeping options. And if we compare him to Dean Gardner, you can see that he's not wildly better, but he's a little bit better. The mentals aren't all that great, but we'll see. We will see if it's a big effect. It's just having some alternatives in the goalkeeping area, because I really don't think Dean Gardner's all that good. He hasn't really been tested throughout the season. He does have the 3 clean sheets, but I think that's more to our possession dominance and our defensive abilities rather than our goalkeeping. So if we do need to rely on some goalkeeping, obviously let's find some depth. If he plays for the under-23s, then he plays for the under-23s. So without any further ado or any stalling, let's jump right into our match today and take a look at our starting 11 against Skanes Hill. So not all that many changes, really. The only change that I am going to make is I'm going to bring in Matthew Vassell. I was looking at Logan Jeffs there, into the midfield position. Try and see if he's a fit alternative to Reese Hayes. Reese Hayes will be on the bench. So starting from the back, we have Lewis Gibson, Ryan Hutchinson, Jack Humphrey, and Nathaniel Appiah on the right back position there, with Dean Gardner in goal. Our midfielders are Elton McKendy, Max Bradshaw, Matthew Vassell, and Connor Martin, still wearing the captain's armband. And then up top, we have Nathan Randall and Matthew Clark, looking to get back to their goal-scoring ways. They both have 6 goals in 6 appearances in all competitions, but Matthew Clark, remember, was a very, very strong cup performer last season, and hopefully he can repeat that performance in the second round matchup that we have today. It is a home matchup, so hopefully we will perform well. On the bench, we have Logan Jeffs as our defensive substitution. Reese Hayes and Ollie Hotchkiss can both go into the middle of the park. I tend to, if we get a significant lead, or if we go down and we need a little bit of offensive flair, I don't really want to risk Max Bradshaw getting sent off, so I am fairly quick to sub him off and bring in Ollie Hotchkiss. He has a little bit more of an offensive mind to him. Ian Smith is our 14 finishing alternative as a striker, so he can come in for Nathan Randall or Matthew Clark if needed. He is now match fit, doesn't have a goal for us, but he hasn't really featured for us. And then we have Tamar Clayton now, who can play on either wing. So that's what our squad's going to be looking like today. No tactical changes. We're still playing that 4-4-2 that's been working for us for the past 3 seasons. I'm going to stick with this until I'm forced to change, because the personnel that I've been signing really sort of go with this lineup. And we're going to be going up against a 4-3-3 with a defensive midfielder, so it may be tough breaking them down, but hopefully that means we're not going to be really pressured all that much offensively. They only have sort of this 3-pronged attack with their 3 midfielders sort of sitting back a little more. Hopefully, we can break through this line with our players that we have on the pitch. So let's just give them some, remind them that we're the favorites. I honestly don't know. They haven't been responding all that much to my team talks. A couple people being happy. I guess we can live with that. So here we are at kickoff of the Mid-Sussex Junior Cup second round. And honestly, whenever we play against a team that's in a higher division, I don't really know what to expect from the team. The pundits always bill us as the favorites, and I think we're going to be the favorites until we get out of this division. Nathan Randall has 2 cracks from point blank, almost finds a goal for us within 5 minutes, but this wasn't meant to be 2 great saves from their goaltender there. Hopefully we will get more of these chances as we move on. It looked like our 2 strikers can exploit the pace issues, maybe. with their center backs. So these long balls may be what we're looking for moving forward. If that's sort of the only chances that we get, and if we struggle a little bit, I may have to look into a more direct passing outfit or tactic moving forward. But hopefully it won't be an issue, and hopefully we can break down this team without too much tactical tinkering. Dean Gardner sends it forward to Vassell in the center of the park. Bradshaw plays over to McKendy, and you can see as a wide midfielder, he does drift in a little more, whereas Connor Martin stays out to the side, and that is some great ball movement. From Vassell up to Clark. Clark with the first touch over to Randall, and Randall just fires that into the top corner into the 7th minute, so wasting no time getting on the board and sort of taking control of this game in front of the home fans in this cup competition. So let's see this in 3D, because that just developed very, very quickly. McKendy had a little bit of space, cut in, played it right into the middle to Vassell, and this goal happened very, very quickly. Just sort of one-touch passing all around, and then first time right into the top of the net. Not too many goals you can save that one. He fired that with some ferocity, so that gives us a 1-0 lead early in this match. And we might be in a good position to get another here. Clark on his own, but he does find Randall in the middle. Is he able to... bounces around a little bit. He does get the opportunity on the rebound, but that is sort of steered aside. Getting some chances here, though. Still no shots for Skanes Hill. McKendy sort of runs in and just glances that. Just wide, just over the bar. Hard to tell from that angle, but he just missed the net there off that corner. Skanes Hill is also going to be dealing with an injury, so that's an early substitution for them in the 22nd minute. And we may be good here for another chance, maybe to pull 2 ahead before the 30th minute. Bradshaw plays over to McKendy. Similar setup to the first goal, but McKendy decides to shoot. I don't mind him shooting from there. He doesn't have the greatest attributes, but as we saw last season, he does have the potential or ability once in a while to hit one of those wonder strikes from outside the box, and seems to have an affinity for it. So I'm not gonna... hasn't really caused all that many problems for us. So I'm okay with him taking those chances. I'm not going to discourage him too much. Approaching the 34th minute now, into the 35th minute, we're still looking pretty good. Skanes Hill hasn't had an attempt towards goal, never mind on goal, and we are getting the bulk of the possession, really bogging them down in the middle of the park. They seem to have some struggles. Clark with an ambitious effort from well outside the box. They seem to be having a struggle playing from their central midfielders to those attacking wingers. There's a little bit of a disconnect getting through the several phases of play. And you can see their one striker isolated at the top, sort of being isolated there with Hutchison and Humphrey in the middle, not really getting a lot of space in the middle, so unfortunate for him. Randall does scramble one over the bar there. We do have 13 shots, only 3 on target. At times, it may be there. Clark with an easy chance just outside the box. Sort of almost passes that one into the bottom left corner. Griffiths can't get to it, and we are up 2-0 just before halftime. I was going to say I don't really want to move to a work into the box. Their defenders really should do a little better there, but just inside the box, picks his corner, makes no mistake, and Randall and Clark, Nathan Randall and Matthew Clark both have a goal before the end of the first half. So what I was saying is I don't really want to move to a tactic that works it into the box. If we are putting our shots off target a ton, typically the advice is, we're missing the target. We need to get into positions for better chances. You can see a couple of our shots were from well outside the box. But what I feel like tends to happen is instead of generating chances from inside the box, you just stop generating chances altogether and pass the ball around a little bit too much. And our team doesn't really, at least in my opinion, doesn't really have the technical proficiency to make those numerous passes in tight quarters, because when you start to work the ball into the box, you don't really play at that high tempo as much. At least I haven't found a lot of success with it. Maybe there's a tactic that can make it work. If you have any tactical suggestions, leave them in the comments below, and I'll see if I can implement them and see how they work for us. But obviously today, there's no need for any tactical tinkering. We are up 2-0 into the second half now, and looking very good to progress to the third round of this cup competition. So not really worried about it moving forward. But if you have any ways or ideas to improve the team, we are by no means running through the league. We did have a couple good competitions here. Collins is in there. Gardner with a good save. Strong hands to push it out. And then Lewis Gibson clears it for a throw. First real chance there for Skanes Hill as they carve us up a little bit. But Dean Gardner keeps us 2 goals ahead. And hopefully that'll be the only chance they get. Nathan Randall in the box with a good shot on target, but Griffiths the defense was closing in, sort of taking away some of his shooting angles, and Griffith is able to turn that one away for a corner. Max Bradshaw then whips it into the box, and Strachan? That name is pronounced so many different ways. Strachan. I've seen like Strachan, Strawn, Strahan, whatever. He's probably not even a real player. Not hurting anyone's real feelings. Now, for all I know, he actually is a real player, and now I've insulted somebody. Time has moved actually pretty quickly into the 81st minute. I'm actually going to be making some substitutions here. I'm going to bring on Ian Smith. I'm going to bring on Tamar Clayton-Nout. Bring him to a more supporting role. And also, I think that's it. Everyone else can sort of just keep doing what they're doing. We don't have any yellows, so we don't really have to worry about Max Bradshaw getting sent off at this point. I'm not really worried about him getting a straight red, but if he was on a yellow, I would certainly be taking him off, along with anyone else, if I'm being entirely honest. Clark plays over to Martin. Martin does have some space on the wing. Plays it back into the middle. Clark has some space. Is he going to take a shot? No, he's sort of dispossessed. Played forward, and Cross picks it up as the lone striker. A little isolated, but he does dance around Bradshaw, but Bradshaw recovers and tackles Cross to get the ball back there. So that's why we have him. You know, that defensive work rate is really what we like to see. Although Randall does lose out. Cross has the ball, but Gardner makes another good save there. They've had two decent chances, and both times Gardner has been able to rise to the occasion and keep his clean sheet today. Daniel plays it back to Marshall. Marshall plays it, and Gardner is able to tip that one aside as well. So Skanes Hill putting a bit of, not giving up. They're showing some heart in the dying moments of this game. But we are retaining our 2-0 lead, thanks in large part to our goaltender, who I may be replacing, as I showed you. But our new signing is by no means guaranteed a spot in the first team. If Gardner continues to play well, then by all means, the attributes aren't everything. You got to play, with what you're seeing on the pitch. And I know that may seem contradictory for a video game, where obviously this player is obviously better. His attributes are better, but there's a lot of sort of subtle, undisclosed things, it seems, in Football Manager. Maybe they're just all in your head, but sometimes players who shouldn't play well do play well. Some players who should play well never end up materializing, and it's unclear why that is, but that's just sort of the mystery of this game, and that's why so many people enjoy it, and that's why we keep playing it. But we are going towards the 90th minute here. It'd be nice to see if one of our substitutions, maybe Ian Smith, could find his first goal for the club here. Clark with just a ridiculous attempt. You can see Ian Smith not really on page with the rest of the squad there. He's sort of started his run off towards the corner, whereas Bradshaw played his through ball through the middle. Bradshaw plays it into the box. Hutchison can't get on the end of that one. Bradshaw can get another opportunity to swing this one into Gibson. Gibson with a sort of a soft header. Griffiths has no problem snatching that one up, but we did have 21 shots total, 8 on target, so not a bad ratio for us, if I'm being entirely honest. And that is full time, which brings the end of this matchup, and we go to the next round of the Mid-Sussex Junior Cup. So good, solid win. Nothing really to speak about in the second half. We did have a couple of chances, some frightening chances for Skanes Hill, where they could have pulled one back, and if they were able to execute those chances and Dean Gardner wasn't there for us, they may have actually been able to pull level. So great effort by our goalkeeper to really keep his clean sheet. He earned that one this time around, whereas previous clean sheets I could have said, they didn't really get any chances. Our defense really did most of the work. This one, he certainly earned his clean sheet, so we have to give props to him for that and recognize his abilities today. So we will be moving into the third round, and I think our draw is tomorrow, so I'll be doing that. But that will about do it for this episode. We are still on pace to possibly have an opportunity of retaining the Mid-Sussex Junior Cup. But really, obviously, the focus is to get back on track. We did have those two poor matchups in a row, but if you think back to last season, we were basically undefeated except for a cup loss and then a league loss that went one after the other. We can look back at last season, right around the same time, actually, almost down to the day, that we had those consecutive losses, and then we sort of went on a tear of just absolutely great form. So hopefully that victory over Skanes Hill is what propels us into a great run of form that will take us through these competitions and obviously help us secure the league and our 4th consecutive promotion, because that's really what this is all about, is promoting through the different English football tiers. But obviously cup competition is something great too. A little bit of prize money extending further in the cup competitions also gets us some bonus attendance. If we look at this one, only 53 in attendance, but a little bit of attendance here and there. We do get a little bit of money. You can see our finances are looking actually really, really good. We are up to almost £20,000, which is really good. I don't know what the actual benchmarks that we need to be to actually start doing something with the money, because I haven't been able to request anything from the board, nothing in terms of training facilities, probably because actually updating anything costs way more than £20,000. But I know we're still some ways off of becoming a semi-professional team, several promotions away from that, and I don't really know what the benchmarks are for a lower league team improving their facilities. And if we look at our facilities, we have basic corporate, poor training, basic youth. Our youth level is 0. Limited youth recruitment, minimal junior. Basically, it's the bare bones, the absolute bottom of pretty much everything. We have a terrible pitch. Everywhere would be good to improve, but I just don't know exactly what the costs are. And whenever I've approached the board, usually, once every couple of months, I'll approach the board and be like, hey, can we improve this? Can we improve that? And they just say no. And there's no real, we're not in a position to discuss finances at this time. So if you have any ideas about what, my financial benchmark should be to maybe start approaching the board so I can stop wasting my time, that would be great. But that'll about do it for this episode. So if you did enjoy the episode, please subscribe or leave a like. And don't forget to leave your comments below. I do, as always, enjoy interacting with you about this. Or just leave some advice, especially about some of the financial stuff that I'm not exactly 100% on, because usually I don't have to deal with these financial things. I often play saves where I'm in the Premier Leagues or in the Bundesliga or stuff like that, where the finances aren't really front and center, right? You get some stuff and be like, hey, we need to improve this. And they're like, oh yeah, we have the money or we don't. And then you just sort of deal with the board on that level. But I've never really dealt with something this low, and I'm sure that a lot of you haven't either. But if you can just give me some sort of a ballpark and some advice, obviously I welcome it at every stage. So until next time, you've been watching Cannell Games. Thanks for watching.